Before we got started earlier today, in our production meeting, we were having a conversation about, the different Hall of Fames. We'll start talking about Lou Williams and his chance of the Hall of Fames, but we'll talk about the Hall of Fame because I think the one thing that everybody sees on the internet is how easy it is to get into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Right.
Especially compared to the NFL, MLB. I don't really know about NHL, but I know their greats do get in from time. They do get in.
Right.
But as you were saying, not because it's not the NBA basketball first and foremost, it's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. But as you were saying, though, the NBA just in general is the one that really celebrates their great who they consider their great players.
Right.
And in this instance, it was your thought, you kind of want to elaborate on that a little more.
Yeah, if you just look at in my opinion, the landscape of the different sports, the NBA, I mean, you got a player as the logo. I think baseball does also. But they've always overly promoted their players. That's how they sold the game. I mean, even back when it was Bill Russell, Cousy, on the Jerry West, Mr. Clutch, all those players, and then especially the current day thing. While the NFL is the shield, of course, everybody knows that. The NBA has always overly celebrated its players, and I think for basketball, that kind of just leaked over to the Hall of Fame, where you put in those players that were celebrated in there, because you got players like I gave an example of Tracy McGrady. He don't have an MVP, he don't have a championship. He only made it past the first round once when he was pretty much done with the Spurs. But he's in the Hall of Fame, about 19 points per game for his career. But his run was so great, and he one of the best players. He is one of the best players ever. The NBA just celebrates those players. Compared to, I think if Tracy McGrady had his resume in the NFL, I don't think he would get in the Hall of Fame, and definitely not in baseball.
Right.
They gonna be like, nah, he didn't win enough. No outstanding awards. So the NBA has always done a great job of over promoting his players. So it just made me wonder, could Lou Williams possibly get in the Hall of Fame? 15,000 points off the bench for his career. 3 6 Man of the Year, 4, tied for the most all time with Jamal Crawford. So he has an argument. I think is one of the best basketball players, one of the best contributing players to the history of the game, because you look at 6 man differently now. Because you could be the 6th man and you know that you're gonna close that lineup for sure. So
and he was a pure 6 man,
real 6 man wasn't a starter at really any point in his career, like spot starting for someone that was hurt, but he was never a starter. He was a true 6 man player. So I think Lou should get in the Hall of Fame, and that's my opening campaign for him. 15,000 points is crazy for any player, but definitely a player off the bench, and he has the most bench points ever.
All right. And with that being said, I'm John W.
It's Fresh X.
And this is Hooper's Morning Run. Once again, I want to say RIP to Elgin Baylor, who recently passed.
And I say it again.
RIP to him. Definitely one of the early greats of the game.
I always like to say that Elgin Baylor was the LeBron James of his time. He could do it all, big time scorer, big time rebounder, and then just that transcendent player compared to everybody. Like he was bigger, faster, but could dribble. He was doing Euro steps in the 60s. So Elgin Baylor was the one thing that keeps Elgin Baylor out of all of these great debates is obviously that he didn't win the championship. He technically has one championship, but he didn't win the championship going against those great Celtic team every year. They just were overmatched. But if you look at his numbers, all time, 27 points, 13 rebounds. I think he's maybe 6 assists, somewhere 5, 6 assists. The numbers are insane. And 11-time All NBA, 10-time All Star, or flip flop that, however it is. He just has numbers that you don't just see even amongst great players. If he had 2 championships at the minimum, I think he'd be considered a top 10 player.
Right. Elgin Baylor, I was saying this the other day on Twitter on the Hooper's page. He's the original if he had a ring guy.
Yeah.
He's one ring away guy.
Yep.
But he was that great. Like I know I seen I don't remember who it was, but they were saying he was the early version of Dr. J, not as flashy, because he was doing Euro steps. He was dunking on guys like.
Yeah.
They ain't changed that rule because they changed because of Elgin Baylor. You ain't supposed to be able to dunk on somebody off 2 dribbles from the perimeter.
Right.
You ain't supposed to do that. Reverse layups, all that. So Elgin Baylor was definitely one of the first greats. not the first greats, but he was one of the first.
Yeah, he was amongst them though.
Definitely.
Amongst the first super, like real superstars.
He helped the transition from Minneapolis to LA go smooth because, like I say, you do have a player who is that transcendent talent to where he brings basketball talent and entertainment value.
Yep.
And he, in the I think it was the 61-62 season, he only played weekends because he was on active duty in the military. Still averaged 38 and 19.
Highest average of his career for that year.
But didn't play enough games, so a lot of people don't count because, like I said, he only played weekends. So once again,
played 48 games, so
that's enough.
That's more than half the season. They play 82, play 48 of the 80,
82.
Well, the 82, average 38 a game.
Right, that one of the greatest years in NBA history. But once again, RIP to Elgin Baylor, who is one of the greats of the game, who we will continue to celebrate. And speaking of greats, I want to get into this real quick because I don't think we had a chance to talk about this on anything. Draymond Green, once again, because this is what he do around this time every couple of years, said that he's the greatest defensive player ever. And I know we all have our opinions on that. I know some people will agree, some people won't. Some people are going to say Draymond Green is out of his mind and he's crazy and all these other things. But I know how I feel about it. I don't think he's the best. I know Shannon Sharp said he wasn't in the top 20. I didn't watch the video after that. Yeah. I kind of cut the video off after that. But if you look what he does bring defensively, it is fair to say he's top 10 or 15 in my opinion. Like the footwork, the IQ, how he's he moves on defense. I would say he's one of the better defenders of all time.
Right.
Of course, I know you don't agree with him being the best defender of all time.
No.
But do you think he has a legit argument for top 10, 15?
He got a defensive player of the year. So to have a defensive player of the year, multiple, I don't know how many off the top of my head, 5 all defensive teams. So he definitely has an argument to be top 10. I wouldn't even be mad at you if you said he was one of your top 5 defenders, because then you got to think about his IQ of being able to switch around multiple people. But when I think about the best defenders ever, it's not just the making the all defense and winning the awards, but that's when also kind of the on court, the eye test that so many people like to hate nowadays, but it's a real thing type of thing. And while I think Draymond is versatile and he can play in different roles, I don't think people fear Draymond guarding them. So that's where the top defenders just separate from them.
Right.
Like Kawhi is elite at that. Ron Artest was elite at that. Hakeem, Mutombo, Gary Payton, even Scottie Pippen.
Sidney Moncrief.
Like they really guarded people. And Draymond guards people, but it's not like Draymond's assignment is coming to the game tonight. It's like Giannis winning the award last year, and they asked why you not guarding Jimmy Butler when he's killing y'all. And so that's not what the coach told me to do. But like Jordan can say what he wanted about how he felt about it, but when Jordan was going out, Gary Payton told what was the coach? George Karl. He told him, I'm guarding Jordan because you guard these people. Jordan wanted to guard Magic. Scottie guarded Magic in the finals. Hakeem guarded David Robinson. He guarded Shaq. So like these players, that's what separates even the best from the better from the best, in my opinion. So that's where Draymond separates from me. But to say he's like Shannon, say he's not top 20, it's just great. He got defensive player of the year, and that means something. Right. 5 all NBA defensive teams, and I'm pretty sure half of those are at least first team. So that stuff matters. And his IQ is something that you can't measure in the stats, which I want to give him credit for, because he is how that Warriors defense worked when they did decide to play small ball, especially before KD. Because once you add KD, it's still a 7-footer on the court, and KD brought rim protection. And I know that the Warriors started with Andrew Bogut, but closing those lineups and saying, Draymond was going to be key to that. But even in those lineups, he was on the court with another elite defender, Andre Iguodala and Klay Thompson.
Definitely.
So, of course, he says this every couple of years, so I don't know why this one is the one that caught everyone's eye. I guess he said it finally enough for everyone to speak on it.
Man.
But to say he's not top 20 is a little drastic, but he's definitely not number 1, but Draymond's a great defender.
So. No, yeah, I definitely agree. Like, so just saying he's not top 20 is like, that's kind of disrespectful to what he's done.
Yeah, because he definitely has an argument for top. I mean, like I said, he could be in your top 5. I wouldn't be mad at you. I don't agree. I probably wouldn't even have. I probably have a top 15, but there's an argument for Draymond as a top 10 defender. But I would say 15 though, because I think I can name 10 people that was like, I'm guarding you, like Michael Cooper was like that we already named off a couple people, but
Bill Russell was like that.
Yeah, so they were out there. I didn't even say Sidney Moncrief. Sidney Moncrief was a great defender also. But yeah.
Nah, in fact, Doug Christie was a great defender.
Doug Christie did play good defense.
He was the original draw charge guy.
Right.
Couldn't draw that one on Kobe though. But that's besides the point.
Kobe was a great defender. So
he was.
And I think too, what gets lost is my last point on it. They're just gonna go to these players who's versatile, they can move around. The game is so different now that more teams consider doing that. If other teams consider doing it back then, I do 100% believe players like Scottie Pippen could have guarded 4 positions. I mean, Dennis Rodman did guard multiple positions. I can always remember that's real vividly a player that probably don't stand out in people's minds, Kenyon Martin guarding Kobe in the NBA Finals and in the Western Conference Finals when he played for Denver. So, like, it's been versatile defenders, but there's never been the philosophy of how it is now, where we're just in more of an era where coaches let players who usually – that was reserved to a couple of players, but now everyone just gets to fully play their game. And that's what makes the game different, in my opinion. That's why I never say it makes it better, it just makes it different, because I always think people have always been versatile, but you could do it more so now.
No, you definitely had that freedom to do that. Trade deadline was yesterday. We had some trades go through. No really big
holiday for NBA Twitter and everyone that lives for the trade talk and the stuff that don't got nothing. I mean, it has a little bit to do with the game, but everyone that's been predicting the trades before the season even starts, we can see all y'all be wrong on this day. That's what I love the most, because none of these trades that I ever see ever happen.
You Santa Claus dropping off coals to the bad kids.
All right, they all be wrong, all of them.
No, they usually are, because it's like,
who had Vucevic going to Chicago?
Nobody.
Who
had Aaron Gordon going to the Nuggets?
Nobody.
Who had JaVale?
Only thing that was right, because we all knew it was going to happen, was the Oladipo to Miami. We all figured that was going to happen.
For the last 6 years.
Yeah, he's been wanting to go there. So but they were wrong about everything.
It was some interesting trades in my opinion. Like I say, Vucevic going to the Chicago Bulls. Orlando basically gave away their 3 oldest players and 3 of their better players in Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, and Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier going to the Celtics, Aaron Gordon going to the Nuggets. Which one of those, first, I want to start there real quick. Which one of those 3 you think is going to help the team the most? I don't know.
Before I say who's going to help the most, it's just funny that the Celtics traded for Orlando Magic player like we've been begging them to do, but they traded for the wrong player. Danny Ainge is.
They didn't even get the second right player.
Danny Ainge is so disappointing. But I think the Bulls got help the most, because I think the Bulls are legit. I said a lot before the season, during the season. Billy Donovan left OKC because he didn't want to be a part of a rebuild, and he went to the Bulls. So what did that mean? That they were trying to make the playoffs. So I'm not saying that this guarantees them in the playoffs, but I'm just saying getting Vooch, having Zach LaVine as an all-star, Kobe White is a hooper. I'm not going to go down that whole roster like I just know the Bulls, but I know that they play hard and they're in position to make the playoffs. So adding Vooch, a versatile player, he shoots the 3 now, take some pressure off of Zach LaVine, where he doesn't have to be your only option on offense, only option that going to give you 20. So that could maybe help his efficiency too, because he's not that he's doing this, but he's not just out there shooting, but you got another player you can go to. I really think Vucevic can help the Bulls make the playoffs this year. So that's the one that I like the most. I like where they all went, honestly. I don't really know about Aaron Gordon to Denver. I just like that Denver added some talent. I mean, but I don't really know how that works with like Paul Millsap and Michael Porter and everything. So I don't know about that. And then I get the Celtics adding shooting or whatever, guard play.
All right.
But they traded Daniel Tice, who's their only center. And they didn't add a big man. No. What the hell is Danny Ainge doing? No. Like, people tell, I need a big. They got smaller. They got smaller. Like, what is Danny Ainge doing? What is he doing?
I think the Evan Fournier thing was.
I like Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier is a hooper. I really think he's a hooper.
Like, definitely. I'm not even going to say anything bad about Evan Fournier. I was going to say I think Evan Fournier was him trying to replace what Gordon Hayward brought to that team.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, I don't know if he's going to do it, because Gordon Hayward, I know he's balling this year, he's having like 22, 23 in Charlotte, but Gordon Hayward did sacrifice some scores so he could be a team player, get rebounds, play defense, hit timely shots, make sure the 2 young players are going to be are going to succeed in their roles.
Right, but
So-
Fourier more just of a scorer. Truly, he's not really
Right? Is he going to play make?
defender.
Is he going to play make? Is he going to really defend or rebound for him? It's just they got another wing player to stand out on the wing, honestly.
And you traded the main big man. People been begging them to add some size, and they got did they add somebody else? Maybe I'm mistaken. Did they add a center? And they definitely did. If they did, they definitely didn't add an impact center because we would know his name right now.
Right.
Like, what
Fair
is
enough,
Danny
yeah.
Ainge doing?
Well, I know the thing too. I know Brad Stevens have been trying to get Robert Williams some more minutes.
I respect that too because I do think Robert Williams he should be playing more. Robert Williams and Tristan Thompson are the only bigs right now.
Grant Williams.
Grant Williams is 6'4". He's 6'4". He's not a big.
I say, hey, they were playing together at the 5 and the 4 the other day, Grant and Robert Williams.
And I respect it. I agree with Robert Williams. I've been saying that he should be the starting center, like the talent there, the blocks there. I don't get why he's not the starting center. But Robert Williams and Tristan Thompson, that's all you got for Embiid, Anthony Davis, Jokic. We'll see, I guess.
Right. Let's see.
Said Marcus Smart, he's point guard. Like literally, people have been asking for Boston to get bigger, and they got small. He did exactly what people joked that he was gonna do. Like we joked that he's gonna trade their center and get smaller, and he literally did that.
Yeah, he did. Like I said, Aaron Gordon going to the Nuggets. Like for as far as a replacement for Paul Millsap next year, because Paul Millsap did only sign a 1-year contract. I still don't know about the Michael Porter Aaron Gordon thing because of course I'm guessing they think Michael Porter's a 3 now because we seen Aaron Gordon try to play the 3 in Orlando. It didn't really work out.
Michael, he started some game at the 3, so I do think they're gonna play the 3.
Yeah.
But until then, Aaron Gordon's gonna play the 3 because he's not a 3. He's just not.
Maybe Paul Millsap's gonna play the 3
And
because he's gonna start. Like they got him so he can start.
Yeah.
So yeah, what is he?
See, I like now unless we're gonna agree to move Paul Millsap to the bench, you're older player. We're gonna limit your minutes. You can come out the bench, maybe still can close. Aaron Gordon shouldn't play the 3. I don't think that helps them. But Aaron Gordon, I'll say this: the potential of Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter, and Jokic in the star lineup, plus Will Barton with his scoring, that would be crazy. Like that potential is there. And I think that's so great for Aaron Gordon because he can be like that Sean Marion player that I always thought he was. I think this will be his best shot to make an all-star team because the team
more playmakers around.
Right. And the team isn't going through him hoping he develops to being their best player. Jokic is their best player, and you will hope between Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., they're 2A and 2B, honestly. They could be on the same level because Michael Porter also has all-star potential. So the potential is there. But are they move? I would just move Millsap to the bench, honestly. I've been saying, I know we both agree that he's not coming out the starting lineup, but I just wouldn't play Aaron Gordon at the 3. I think it'd be a waste of trade.
No, I think that would be your best situation, honestly, because like I said, you don't want Aaron Gordon or Paul Millsap at the 3 full time, knowing they have to they're gonna have to guard LeBron at some point, either Paul George or Kawhi.
See, I'm not mad at Aaron Gordon because I think he truly has a versatility to do that defensively, but at the 3, I just feel like he would have to handle the ball more than I would want him to.
That's fair. Well, that's fair.
Yeah, so,
that's fair. It's
I agree with. I don't know what's gonna happen with Millsap, but maybe this moves him to the bench and you're upgrading.
But now I guess the thing now is because I know Mike Malone likes Michael Porter, but I know I can tell by the sporadic playing time that he gets that he doesn't trust him.
Michael Porter, yeah, and then he had the COVID early in the year, so that's anyone that caught COVID this year went through stretches of not playing well, from Jason Tatum, Seth Curry, Jimmy Butler trying to just missing the games like that. He's been hooping obviously since he came back, but everyone has had some type of struggle.
No, that's also fair. Yeah. And I think Will Barton gets what he wanted out of this because I know at the end of the season, he wasn't really sat. Yeah, he didn't want to come off the bench. And now you put him back at his natural 2 position, so that helps because he's also another playmaker. But speaking of, Orlando, who's the one that sent all these players out, they got Wendell Carter, Otto Porter, Gary Harris, RJ Hampton.
Right.
I don't know who exactly they got from themselves because I'm not even going to act like I do. But Orlando is looking like they're going not necessarily a full rebuild, but they did get younger. They did get some picks from the Bulls for Vooch.
They got everybody's favorite high school player, and RJ Hampton and Cole
right.
Anthony.
That's true. They got both of them. Markel Fultz will be back next year. Jonathan Isaac will be back next year. You got to expect at some point Mo Bamba is going to factor into the rotation. You have to be thinking that Wendell Carter as well. Orlando's probably done for the season, right? Lottery pick team.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially, I mean, the only player you keep that's a value is yeah. And he said he looked up, and I'm the oldest player.
Hey, he was on fire on Twitter yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, Orlando, they're in 14th in the East right now, so they're next to last place. But seeing what Markel provided early in the year and what people think of Jonathan Isaac, those are two good building blocks. I don't know how I feel about Jonathan Isaac, but I definitely feel Markel is a good building block. Like Markel has all-star potential. He's #1 pick. And I think this year, we've always seen it before LaMelo broke the record. He was the youngest player in NBA history with a triple-double. And so you always saw the potential there. Big guard. He's defensively, I think he's gonna be so good going forward because he looks like one of those players that likes to defend people and play physical or whatever. And then offensively, like he's gonna shoot his threes when he can, but he's gonna be a mid-range monster and he's gonna get to the basket. So right. So I'm a fan of big guards. So he's 6'5", but he really looks like he's about 6'6", 6'7" out there. But maybe it's just to add that little size, and he's not a big dude. He's a big dude. So being around Markel, I think now you just add pieces to fit with him, and we'll see where you get at the top of the draft. But definitely building around Markel is a good starting building block. And for the people that like Jonathan Isaac, I like Mo Bamba coming out, but I'm just wondering, when a player doesn't play for so long, it's like what's going on, what's he lacking. I know he went through some injuries, but they also say he went through some immaturity there too. So all that has to play a factor, but you would hope, he was a high pick for them. This is year 2, 3. So, I mean, he's going into his third. He's going into his 4th year next year, I believe. Yeah. So you hope he's going to be a contributor player. He was a player that came out of Texas that could shoot. Supposed to be, at the minimum, with his size, he's supposed to be a defender. Right. So, I definitely like the potential of Markel Fultz there, and like you say, Jonathan Isaac. But yeah, they're definitely in draft mode and see what they're going to get out of this draft. It's some interesting players in this draft from Cade at the top, which I mean, do you get Cade if you get the #1?
I mean, they have a spot at the 2 now. Yeah, but I know I think a lot of people think he's gonna play at the point.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a point. I think him and Markel, I don't really know if I would want them together. But then again, Cade, I think he can play with anybody, so I think it could work. I would do it. To have those 2 big guards, smart guards, I would do it. But even if it's not Cade, then maybe you look at Jalen Suggs, #1, Jalen Green. So it's potential there. And I'm pretty sure Orlando, they're not gonna get the #1 pick anyway. So
I don't know, about time.
Yeah, they have 3 in their history. So
it's about time for another one. Right. The reason that the rule changed is you can't have back-to-back #1 picks.
Orlando has a future though, especially with Markel, and hopefully he comes back healthy.
And I like how they're not, they understand that now. They're not trying to be a middle-of-the-road team. I don't know what that means for Steve Clifford. Maybe, they're done.
I think he's out of there.
Yeah.
I definitely get somebody to compliment Markel as a point guard, though. Markel should have the ball in his hands. He shouldn't play the 2 because that will force him to shoot threes more and jumpers, period, more. I like him handling the ball. So
definitely. Gary, and then of course Gary Trent and Rodney Hood went to Toronto for Norman Powell. Before we get into talking about the trade, Gary Trent Sr. was traded 23 years ago to the day in his 3rd year, 41 games into the Toronto Raptors, just like his son.
Wow.
He also played against LeBron like his son did. It's just funny how their careers are kind of mirroring each other.
Gary Trent Jr. is a better player, though.
No facts. Yeah, I think Gary Trent Sr. would also say that. I just think it's funny.
That is weird, like to be traded first of all, playing in the same place from the start. Then you traded to the same place, the same amount of games during the same year.
Oh, that's crazy. But like I say, Gary Trent, Rodney Hood go to Toronto for
It's always funny when I see the LeBron they show when he elbowed them both in the face. They just bring up the Depot get knocked out like your daddy.
Oh God! Oh man, that's true. Yeah. Oh man, R.I.P. Debo. And Pops. Back to basketball though. So Of course, a lot of people are saying, they made this trade so that they don't have to pay Gary Trent down the line. But Norman Powell, who's having a career year, I think he's averaging 19 this year. He's an NBA champion. He's a great 3-and-D player and also brings some little slashing, little ball handling. They're gonna have to pay him. They're gonna have to pay either one of them.
True.
Maybe they don't plan. Of course, Norman Powell helps more this year than Gary Trent, who was, even though he was a good 3-and-D player, he's more of a future player on a good team.
Does it say they think they're gonna have to pay Norman Powell less? I was looking on NBA Twitter yesterday, and I saw some people ask, like, what is Gary Trent's worth? And I saw some people think he's going to make up to $20 million a season.
I seen 15, between 15 and 18. I think that was either Mo or Steven. Shout out to both of those guys.
I think if anyone's going to get $20 million a year, it's going to be Norman Powell. I think Gary Trent is more of a 12 to 15 a year. I mean, Norman Powell has averaged more points. I mean, he's younger or whatever, but he's provided more to a team. So I think Portland has just think Norman Powell makes them better at that position in their quest for a championship, because they're trying to make the conference finals this year. That just got to be what you're thinking. And even though you think Gary Trent has maybe more future value, Norman Powell can help you more right now, maybe. Like I said, he was on that championship team. He is having a career year, 19 points per game. So maybe he upgrades them. That's what you got to be thinking with that trade. For Toronto, you get younger, and because I don't think Gary Trent is going to command a $20 million or $18 million a year deal. So I can see 15, but so I don't think the problem really is that Portland didn't think they were going to be able to match his deal, because he's going to be a restricted free agent. So I do think they've been able to match his deal. It's not like he's about to get a super max or anything like that. I just think Portland has to think that Norman Powell makes them better.
Right now, yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, at that position, I mean, like I said, having a career year, averaging 19 points per game, maybe you think he unlocks something that you're lacking that gets Derrick Jones Jr. or Robert Covington out of the starting lineup, because neither one of them needs to be started. But if one of them has to start, I'll start one, and you can start Norman Powell. CJ has been back a few games, had 35 last night, 29 of that came in the first half, but you got to think Norman Powell upgrades Portland. I think he does. The factor of averaging 19 a game, especially having Melo a year older, it just keeps you versatile in this so offensive league. You're going to get 30 from Dame, obviously. But since CJ has came back and you can't wait on him to get in rhythm, like we're almost in the playoffs. He's averaging about 17 since he came back. That's going to go up. Obviously, he's averaging 26 before he got hurt. I think he's usually around 22 a game. But to add more scoring, especially when you don't know what you're gonna get out of Nurk, I don't think it's a bad move, and I don't necessarily agree that it was a money motivated move, because I think, as you said yesterday, and like you just said, you're gonna have to pay Norman Powell if you want to keep him, and I think he's gonna cost more. So
yeah, definitely. And then of course, there was some Kyle Lowry talks around the league, either Philly, Lakers. Oh, my bad.
Miami.
I didn't mean to skip over another actual trade. Lou Will got traded for Rondo, so Lou Will will be back in the city full time to get the.
He did say if you get traded, you're going to Lou Willville. You're going back to Atlanta.
Rondo goes to the Clippers. Who do you think won this trade? I think it was a pretty even trade. Honestly, I think both teams kind of got what they needed, something that they needed.
Yeah, Clippers needed a point guard. Lou Will wasn't really. It just seems like he wasn't really hooping as well in Ty Lue's system. And then because you got Reggie Jackson, Patrick Beverly, so he's playing those guards, and then Reggie Jackson kind of gets in Lou's way.
Yeah,
so I think Lou coming to Atlanta really helps Atlanta, because you provide a veteran scorer. Sometimes you may need those buckets, what you may be lacking with when Kevin Huerter or Cam Reddish is having tough games. And then Rondo,
he just didn't fit.
He didn't fit. Yeah, he didn't. We thought he would provide for Atlanta. Honestly, he really didn't. So I think So I think Lou being more of a scorer and Atlanta being an offensive team, that just works. And then that helps. The Clippers were in the running to get a true type point guard. They were talking about getting Lonzo. So you add Rajon Rondo, just won the championship, a player that's going to hold players accountable. We know who he is in the playoffs.
All right.
So I think that works. So it's like the Clippers got one of the Lakers players, the Lakers got one of their players. I think the Clippers got a more valuable player, though, because Rondo was huge for the Lakers in their finals run. So I think, I agree with you on.
Oh, my bad. The Bulls did get a big. They got Mo Wagner. That's what they got back for Daniel Tice.
The Celtics.
Yeah. It's a big. That's the only thing I was.
Is he a four?
It's fine.
He a center?
Yeah, fine. 5'4" thing. You know.
What are you doing, Danny Ainge?
He's taller than the rest of that big man.
What are you doing, Danny?
He's taller than the rest of that big man.
What are you doing, Danny Ainge? One of my I have a friend that's a Boston Celtics fan. Shout out to Mike. He was like, Mo Wagner? Why? Why? You right. So I remember him asking that. Yeah.
It's just but like I was saying before we got into the Rondo Blue Whale trade, there was some Kyle Lowry potential landing places, Philly, Miami, the Lakers. I'm pretty sure the Clippers was probably in there as well. You think Kyle Lowry, I guess you think he finished out the season? I know I seen somebody say that he got to get bought out. Like he can't stay in Toronto after that.
think he's staying in Toronto. He's going to retire there. Kyle Lowry is a player I greatly respect, and I think he could have helped Miami. I think he could have helped the Lakers. I think he could have helped Philly. He's become vastly overrated, and I'm going to say that respectfully, and I'm going to end it on that.
Philly got George Hill.
Yeah, Philly got George Hill. Philly has been in the market to get some type of other guard, backup guard. So I like George Hill coming in. George Hill helps Philly, and then one other trade I think is going to help the team he went to, and it helped turn the season around. JJ Redick going to Dallas.
JJ Redick going to Dallas?
Yeah, I think he works in Dallas. He's going to get them corner threes from Luka. He's having a career low year in threes, so he's shooting 36%, which is still right. This is a career 40% shooter. So he's shooting 36%, so that's going to be the lowest of his career. So I think Luka's going to help him get that back up.
No, definitely. And Luka could definitely use a plus shooter like JJ Redick out there.
Definitely.
Because they're definitely missing Seth Curry, as people have been saying all year.
Right.
LaMarcus Aldridge didn't get traded, but he is going to get bought out. Who else? You think anybody else is going to get bought out? Of course, Andre Drummond can get traded. I see something somewhere saying there was a chance Andre Drummond could go to the Clippers. If Andre Drummond get bought out and Danny Ainge doesn't get in on that,
I'm going to be disappointed in Danny Ainge, and he should officially get fired if they finish anywhere where they are right now.
And I think
first round exit and he exits.
I think they were in 8th place last I saw it.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I'm pretty sure their first round matchup is either going to be Brooklyn or Philly.
Yeah, it was Philly. So
Philly.
Yeah, they
now they get swept by Philly, so now people might stop talking about the Celtics sweeping them last year.
Exactly. Out of there.
This is Danny Ainge out of there.
They exit in the first round, he's going to exit.
It's kind of like he's going out like Joe Dumars. He just can't make the right moves. I know I say it all the time because I truly believe that's who he's turned into, Joe Dumars. Just can't make the right moves.
Right. And they're the top. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. He's Joe Dumars. Yep. Yeah, 100%. Sits on these assets. You had a champ like that championship was 13. When they won last championship, I was graduating high school. Like, come on, guys. I'm 31 now. It's not good that you can't live on that championship forever.
I was going to say something so dumb. I said 31. Like, you can't 31 years ago.
Like, you can't live on that championship forever.
No, you can't.
And then, unlike Joe Dumars, where they were going to 8 straight conference finals, like, all right, y'all been to 2, 1, 3. Have they been to 3?
Jaylen Brown been to 3.
Has he? Shout out to Jaylen Brown. I just want to reiterate that terrible trade that we talked about on the Atlanta Hawks fly through of Jaylen Brown for Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, and John Collins. I just want Danny Ainge to know that's also why he's getting fired after this season.
That's also why he's getting fired.
That was a terrible idea.
Anything else? Because there was really no other notable trades. I know T. Ferg was part of the George Hill trade going to the Knicks. The Lakers didn't make any moves. Golden State didn't make any moves.
Disappointed in Golden State. I'm not surprised the Lakers didn't make a move. I thought they might. Not surprised. Golden State. Because I started, so I'll end it here. We can end it with Golden State. I thought Bob Myers was going to make a move just to make the team better overall.
They didn't trade Brad Wanamaker.
Yeah, not a big deal. I like Brad, though. You keep Kelly Oubre because you think maybe, with the team that you thought you're going to have, his role is going to be different. He's going to play better, even him and Wiggins. But then I started reading these stories that Oubre still isn't a part of their future. So I'm going to assume that Bob Myers, because I'm going to give him his chance because you draft these players and you help develop them, and y'all develop that to a championship roster. I don't give him any credit for signing KD. I say that respectfully. I think KD was going to go where KD wanted to go. And I think the players sold KD on him coming there more than Bob Myers or even Steve Kerr. It was Iguodala, Steph. Steph said, "Hey, come on." He was cool with Draymond. I think that sold him more
I think
than
Klay
anything.
Thompson sold him more than anything.
Hey,
I think we talk about all these other players that are KD. I think Klay made the call like KD. It's me.
I mean,
it's me.
So
it's Klay.
This is Bob's chance because Steph just turned 33 last week, so he's getting older, obviously. Definitely. And Steph is a shooter, so I think he's gonna age fine. But you still have to put players around him. So maybe he has this big plan or something they're gonna do over the summer, and we'll see how that goes. But I think Bob Myers is like he's on the watch. We're watching to see what he's gonna do.
They're doing this on purpose to lower expectations, and then boom, make sure they're going crazy. Right?
But people, when Klay comes back. Klay, Steph, Dre Mustard there. We're going to expect them to be. People thought Golden State with Klay this year was going to be a championship contender. Yeah. So now you come to the next year. If he is healthy, Wiseman a year older, real training camp. People are going to expect them to compete for the conference finals. So I think Bob Myers has to do something to make the team better. Last year, Steph gets hurt. In the middle of the season? What can you do about that? Forget it. Let's get a top pick. This year, Klay gets hurt before the season. All right. I got these other pieces. We can compete for the playoffs. They are competing for the playoffs, but they should be on championship watch. So we'll see how he rebuilds his team and see if he can recapture Lightning in the bottom, which is not looking like he can do. I don't know if I don't have faith in Bob Myers, but I'm gonna give him the chance because he did pick that other team, but he did it through the draft. So now you got to do it another way, and that may not be everyone's thing. Like maybe you are the guy that can pick through the draft. I can find gems and things like that. And then some people are good, like Pat Riley, with acquiring pieces. I mean, I do want to end. I said I'm going to end on Golden State, but I do want to end on Pat Riley. I think he made Miami better, and he did it without giving up Tyler Hero, who I'm not a huge fan of him, but adding the pieces he did kind of not diminishes Tyler Hero, but you're not dependent on him to be this all-star player that everyone except me thinks that he's going to be. Adding Oladipo. I think I can't say his name for real, but Valencia from Sacramento. Like he's a good four. He can shoot threes. Like you're not depending on him to be your starter. He's a good piece of the team, and potentially add LaMarcus Aldridge. Shout out to Pat Riley, the Godfather.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's all I got for this week though. So other than that, y'all know y'all can find us anywhere podcasts are available.
Facts.
Just look up the Hoopers Pod, the International Professional Podcast. Catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you can find podcasts. Every Monday and Friday, catch us on Nothing But Net Radio. Download the Dash Radio app, Nothing But Net Radio, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the Hoopers Hour. We get NBA talk for an hour. So shout out to that. Y'all know we here every Friday.
Double facts
every Friday. Off the Ball Network's Facebook page, the Hoopers YouTube page, and now the Hoopers Twitter page. So check us out on all those. Shout out to the Off the Ball Network as always. Shout out to Manscaped, sponsored with the Off the Ball Network. Shout out to everyone on the Off the Ball Network's team, the strongest network out here.
Facts. Coming for ESPN.
Oh yeah, that's the only competition. We passed Fox. Them, Shannon, Skip, they're nobody's.
But now double facts on everything he said. Shout out to everybody over on the Off the Ball Network team. Chris, Steven. I hate that Steph Curry is the only person named Stephen in the world.
That spells his name like that.
Yeah, it's so stupid. But shout Steven, Jeff.
Mo.
And y'all make sure to check out Jeff and Steven. They're gonna be talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier after today's episode, which I will be watching when I get home.
Dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they also did it for WandaVision. I ain't watched WandaVision, so
I
wasn't really into that one. But if for everybody that watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, make sure you watch Jeff and Steven's recap on that. Shout out Jelani, What the Game Means to Me. Just did Atlanta Hawks fly through.
Yeah,
was that Tuesday?
All right, let's end on this. Jelani, we're not predicting the Hawks record after these games anymore. They immediately start losing. We're not doing it.
Down with that. Yeah.
Immediately, we all said, "Oh yeah, they might struggle against the Nuggets." We said the Nuggets. We said the Spurs, and we said
Golden State,
the Warriors. Sacramento was supposed to be an easy win, but then De'Aaron Fox scores 37 points, and the Hawks lose. We're not.
And then he came back and dropped 44 on the Warriors last night too.
Yeah, shout out to De'Aaron Fox, certified hooper. We're not picking the Hawks record on what the game means to me. Hawks fly through anymore.
Yeah, it's clearly our fault. Like, shout out to Mo over at Up in Flames. There's so many in that Couch Coach. We gotta do another one of your shows real soon.
Playoff edition coming soon.
Playoff edition. We're gonna do playoff edition on everybody. So now just playing. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Now maybe we will.
Shout out to the GOAT, Chris Bolton. Him and Mo actually just did a super dope show. Also look for the Up and Flans podcast and check out that show. It was a dope episode for sure.
Shout out to Jerg, NHL specialist. Shout out to Jelani. I didn't know you did hockey, man. Like you just a bad man.
Off the ball network.
Right.
We do it all.
We do it all. Other than that, I'm John W.
It's Fresh X.
And this was the Hoopers Morning Run.
Later, players.